I do hope you can see me today from where you are.
Ich bin ein Dilly.
If I'm generally anything, I guess I'm generally miserable. This modern world of science and invention is of particular interest to women.
The people, I would say, there is no patent. Don't you patent the sun?
I regard myself as a soldier, though a soldier of peace.
Welcome to the Biographers.
That's vain because I talk softly. Which is weird because in real life I don't talk very softly. I'm kind of a shouter.
And I'm trying to get you to shout into the microphone.
I know, but I don't want to because that's my podcast voice.
No, I personally am of the belief that, like, because this is an audio format, it's like I don't want to be on NPR and put to sleep. I want to
I'm not putting anyone to sleep.
No, I know, but NPR puts me to sleep.
I mean, NPR didn't put me to sleep.
Well, I mean, it's fascinating.
It's invigorating knowledge.
It's fascinating, but man, sometimes like when Audie Cornish starts to talk, and she's just like, yes, so then we went down to here, and I'm just not
Hey,
convinced
don't knock Audie.
No, she's one of my favorites, and she's one of the things that got me into podcasting. But she can lull me to sleep with her dulcet voice.
Okay, well, anyway, I think I'm not going to change too much. Maybe I'll get more volume over time, but I like my calm, because also, you know how you don't like hearing yourself recorded? Like...
Sure.
Like the general, you get
used to it.
People don't like it. I know, but I actually didn't dislike my voice when I first heard it on this podcast for the first time in my life.
Sure.
So I don't know if it's because I am kind of controlling it a little bit more, and rather than getting a little screechy or whatever I may be in real life when I get like,
well, I think you're just judging yourself now.
No, but like, I don't know. I like it better, or maybe I'm just like older and my voice is getting deeper.
So you know that that video I sent you a few days ago of that Australian guy, and he's like, there's somebody out there doing exactly what you want to do, and they're worse at it, and they're getting paid lots of money to do it.
Yes.
Right? So he I can't remember what his name is, but he's lovely, and he has all these really cool little videos on like speech habits and things like that. And one of the things that I don't know, maybe it's been like reaffirming as to why I like to talk so much, but like things that he's talked about, I've gone, oh, dude, I just do that. I just do that automatically. So one of the things that he pointed out was, he's talking to this audience, and he goes, so everybody, what I really want you to do is understand that whenever we're talking and we're training on something, there's a lot of information that I can talk about very quickly and brush over, but when there's something important, I'm going to slow myself down, and I'm going to talk very slowly, word by word, so that you understand what I am telling you.
I get the point.
See what I'm saying? And he goes, that's a tool for you to be able to communicate more effectively, just based off of speeding up and then slowing yourself down. So like, that's the stuff that I've been really getting into recently, and it's been making me super stoked because, I don't know, I love communication and the effectiveness of what your energy can do in communication, you know?
So his name is Vinh Giang.
Vinh Giang, okay. And he's Australian, I'm 99% sure.
Yeah, I looked back at our text or our messages to see what you sent, to the name of the guy that you sent me. So anyway, that's who it is. Also, we love NPR, though they are not a sponsor, even though NPR would say we're not, so-and-so is a financial sponsor. We don't have any financial sponsors, so
we don't.
We just promote NPR because we love them.
Hey, if NPR gave us a call and was like, you guys want a slot?
Yeah,
I'd be like, yes, please.
Yes, please.
Dream big.
Nerd out.
That is probably one of the nerdiest things that you can dream of. One day, I want a spot on NPR.
Oh my gosh. I once saw Wait, Don't Tell Me live recorded here a few years ago. And I'm not going to lie. When he was like, this is NPR, I teared up because I was in the room when he was saying it. I don't know. I'm a nerd. Anyway.
No, I love it. And I love NPR too. So I'm right there with you.
Yay. Okay. Well, shall we get started?
Let's get started. I think this has been our most efficient start yet.
I think it is good.
Well, I should probably say to everybody, we did have a much longer conversation prior to this, but it wasn't one of those conversations you want to hit the record button for.
No, we just
it was a private conversation.
deferred.
So we're like, let's pause on the old record button here and then get started a second later.
Well, with that, I will say, welcome to the Biographers.
Yay.
Yay. Okay, we're talking about Queen Victoria.
Yeah, what are we on, part 4
We're
now?
on part 4. Her series is a little longer than the last one.
Dude, well, I mean, look, last series, we're talking about like a fairly obscure socialite who sort of promoted some arts, married a Native American man, and promoted New Mexico and rights for the natives there. This is a queen of arguably the world right now. So I can only imagine she's going to have a much longer and more storied story than good old MDL.
Yep. Well, let's set the scene. It's October 10th, 1839. It's been quite a year so far for Victoria between the bedchamber crisis and the Lady Flora Hastings scandal. Remember that terrible
Still
scandal?
sad about that.
Yes, I know. It will haunt your dreams. Victoria's been the queen for about 2 years, and things seem to be, well, the tide is changing, let's say.
Okay.
Things are starting to go in the right direction. It's been a little rough. Victoria's cousin, Albert, has arrived. Now, they haven't seen each other in a few years. If you recall, Albert was described as kind of like sickly, and he looked a bit green after his overnight boat ride from Germany. He came along with his brother Ernest. And when they first met 3 years before, Victoria had liked Ernest more than Albert. She was like, Ernest is the cool one. I think she said, we have a bit of an invalid in Albert.
You know, Ernest, he has a bit of that redneck thing going on, but he's really funny. So I get that. You know, you want somebody that's got a good sense of humor and that kind of old yokel and that accent. It's a lot of fun. So, and it's probably a change up for old Queen Victoria talking to somebody like that. So,
oh yes. The German from the 1800s. redneck German. Yeah.
Is he ever going to save the day?
I don't know. Golly, I forgot about those movies. You're making me think there was Ernest Scared Stupid,
which was scary.
It was scary, and my mom took me to see it, and I was probably 8 or something. Yep. I don't remember exactly when it came out, but I do remember we were back. I grew up in Texas, in Dallas, and we were backing out of our driveway to go see Ernest Scared Stupid, and the door was closing, and we had this little like kind of metal piece that you could like step on it and push the garage door down if it wasn't going all the way down.
Okay.
And on the door was a big old rat, like riding the door down. And I was like, this is perfect for going to see Ernest Scared Stupid in October. It's one of those moments that, like, I don't remember a lot of my childhood, but I remember that.
You remember the rat?
I can still see that rat in the headlights.
That's pretty funny.
Anyway, back to Victoria and Albert and Ernest. I mentioned in the last episode that Victoria had a lot of suitors, which makes me think of the quote from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? He's a suitor. He's bona fide. Just love that line.
But you ain't bona fide.
He ain't bona fide. He's bona fide. Anyway, so, she had a lot of suitors. Not all of them were bona fide. But these suitors included some random subjects trying to propose marriage, just people that were like, I want to marry the queen.
Like that one guy. Wasn't there just a dude out in the crowd during her coronation that was like, I have a chance?
Yes, him and many more like him. But also, there were rumors that U.S. President Martin Van Buren, who was a widower, was thinking of, quote, I'm saying, quote, from the book, seriously making an offer.
Wow.
And the newspaper, the Daily Advisor, said that they saw no reason why he should not offer, or why he may not stand as good a chance as the namby-pamby princes and kings of Europe. Those namby-pamby princes.
It's like it's amazing too, because this would have been like what, 1804, maybe 40?
Yeah, late 1830s.
Because she was 37 when she
Yeah.
got into power. So 2 years later, when about
Yeah.
9:40, something like that.
Yeah.
So one, I didn't realize Martin Van Buren was the president during that time. I also think of Kramer and the Van Buren boys. I don't know if you remember that Seinfeld episode.
I didn't watch as much. Actually, I did watch a lot of Seinfeld. I just don't remember. I didn't watch it again. It's not like Friends where I just watched it for like 5 more years
Sure.
on DVDs.
Well, there's the whole thing where I won't go into it for very long. But basically, Kramer is confronted by a bunch of street toughs, and he's holding a pepper shaker. So he holds up his hands and inadvertently holds up 8 with his fingers. And Martin Van Buren was the 8th president of the United States, and that happens to be the gang's gang sign.
Oh my
So they all
gosh.
leave him alone because they think he's a former member of the Van Buren boys. Anyways, good stuff.
Okay, that is silly. But I like it. Also, obscure president that I had not thought of at all in a while until I read this in the book.
It is amazing that only like 10 presidents you can really like, oh yeah, them and them and them and them and them and them and that, apart from modern times, all the other ones I feel like are lost.
Yeah, he was the 8th president.
Yeah, I told you. Kramer's holding up the salt shaker.
Oh yeah, you said that just a second ago. But like, think about the 8th president. I mean, what's Biden? 50? 51? 50 something?
God, I don't know.
What
I
president
forgot.
is
Wasn't
Joe?
Trump 50?
Yeah, I think so.
So he's got to be 51.
No, okay, I don't know. He was 45.
45. Oopsies.
So Joe Biden's 46. Whatever. We know
We're
history.
a history
Yeah,
podcast.
not
We know
current
things.
events. Anyway, but can you imagine how that might have changed history? Like a U.S. president marrying the Queen of England.
That would have been kind of amazing.
I guess they got over that whole Tea Party thing, if that was the case. Like, it was only 65 years before
Sure,
this.
Sure.
I mean, that's kind of crazy. Anyway.
I mean, hey, if you think about it in those terms, though, it's like Germany in World War II, and then 60 years later, it's like they're a top-notch ally.
I know it is odd, like, and Japan also, and like it's just like lots of things change anyway. But
Since Oppenheimer, I the whole situation feels so different
I
to me.
still haven't seen it, but
Oh
we're
my
gonna
gosh.
go see it.
Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so Albert arrived for this visit, and he kind of came with an ultimatum.
Ooh.
He was not going to wait for marriage any longer. He had been asked to arrive a few days earlier, but he kind of like pulled a power play, and he just waited before he set sail because he was like trying to establish like, hey, cousin Victoria, you can't just summon me and I'm just going to show up. He's been waiting in the wings for like 3 years, so he's getting a little impatient, and he decides to like play a dating game.
I like it. What's he do?
Well, I mean, he showed up a couple days later than he was supposed to.
Oh, he was like, meh, I'm gonna.
He was like, he just kind of was like, not yet.
Keep
I'll be
you
there when
waiting.
keep her waiting. So part of this was that it was pretty clear that Victoria wasn't in any rush to be married. She was really able to do kind of whatever she wanted, whenever she wanted, and it was for the first time in her life. So she was known to dance the night away and sleep in late, and much of the family was kind of like a bunch of philanderers, and she didn't really have examples of happy, healthy marriages. So in her mind, it was like, what's the rush? Like, I'm having a great time. This could end in heartbreak. I'm just going to do my own thing. She'd even written that she wanted another 2 to 3 years before having to devote herself to, quote, the duties and cares of a wife. So that was a bit like she was the monarch. Like, I'd think that anybody she married would be more of like a house husband than...
Well, I was going to say, I feel like all of those roles she's talking about, she'd have hired help for, apart from, a few things.
Well, yeah, true. But also she was, and we'll know more about this, she was the queen. She was a woman, and there were a lot of men around her. There weren't any women around her. And all these men kind of agreed that, like, she needed help because she's a woman. Right. So she was aware of that, if that makes sense. So Victoria also had her little bird in her ear, Lord Melbourne, warning her of reasons to not get engaged to anybody or Albert. Not only because Albert was German and was her cousin, but also because he was her mother's nephew. So they were just concerned that he might side with his aunt on things.
Interesting.
And Victoria and her mother obviously did not get along. And so that was like another layer of this whole stuff. Of course, Victoria was also concerned about losing her autonomy and her power. If she was married, would her husband take over? So she'd initially tried to delay this trip altogether. But then she did summon him, and then he delayed it as a power play. But before that, she'd been corresponding with Albert in writing letters and stuff over the years since their last visit, so about 3 years. She'd actually sent him on her dime to Italy to study for a while.
That's pretty cool.
She was into him, kind of like you might be when you're texting someone, but like she was really independent and didn't really want anyone to interfere with that. She actually said in a letter to her uncle Leopold that she had a crush on someone else and that the visit should just be canceled, which was a bit of a slap in the face of Albert. There was talk from Uncle Leopold to hold back, give Victoria more time. But Albert had been a little bit strung along for 3 years. He wasn't about to wait 3 more. Or worse, what if after all that time she changed her mind altogether? So he was like, I've been in the wings for 3 years. I've been doing what she said. It's now or never.
She's going Clooney on this guy.
Clooney got married though.
Eventually, I'm sure after she was like, dude, come on. Like, enough is enough. Like, you got enough motorcycles. You've got enough houses on Lake Como.
How many could you need?
He was like, okay.
Well, it seems that Albert had nothing to worry about. He had grown up and filled out a little bit. He was, let's just say, Victoria liked what she saw.
So filled out as in he got a little hefty or muscly?
No, he got like muscly. He'd been kind of like skinny and sickly and just nah. And he grew up a bit. Kind of like, you know, in the summer before senior year when that nerdy guy comes back and he's been to rowing camp or something.
The beard comes in, the chest hair starts to form. I feel that.
Yep. Victoria wrote, "It was with some emotion that I beheld Albert, who is beautiful." She had always been a romantic and didn't want anything to be, I guess the word for this would be like arranged. She didn't want it to be an arranged marriage. But based on her diary entries, when she saw Albert in the flesh, she was struck by Cupid's arrow. 3 days after he arrived, Victoria told Lord Melbourne that she'd changed her mind.
Okay.
She was totally in love with Albert and his beauty and his good nature. It appears it sparked some introspection in her. She'd been rather cranky and depressed. I mean, she'd had a rough couple of years. His positivity changed her perspective. Melbourne, of course, advised her that she should wait a week to decide whether she really wanted to marry Albert, advice which she promptly ignored. If she'd only ignored some of the other advice that Melbourne had given her, that probably would have been better. But here comes the fun part. So Victoria was the queen, right? Mm-hmm. She had to propose because she was the queen.
Oh, wow.
He couldn't propose to her. She was really, really nervous. And to be quite honest, she didn't have a father to get advice from, and she was not going to confide in her mother. So she needed a sign that she had the right idea. And it came in the form of Albert squeezing her hand while saying goodnight 4 days after he arrived.
Oh.
That one hand squeeze, it's like Victorian era love.
Yeah, there's something very cute about it.
Yeah, but you know, I guess it's not like, I don't know, you weren't like texting and saying your feelings like Gen Z might.
I mean, I also think about like elementary school, you know what I mean? And again, I'm a product of the 90s as a kid. And so my elementary school days were not riddled with cell phones. And I mean, pagers were barely coming around or whatever. And so I remember the first time, like, you know, girl squeezed my hand or whatever.
Or send you a note or something.
Man, it's like, holy cow, your mind explodes, you know? So I understand.
I mean, he was kind of coming because they'd been courting each other through letters for years, and it had sort of been arranged, but she wanted to make sure that, because Victoria has some self-esteem issues. Like she's got some body dysmorphia, like she's not, so she just really wanted to be sure, because when Albert showed up, he was like regulation hottie.
Okay.
So she's like, uh-oh, maybe I should have married him when he was like this nerd. No, I don't know. I'm speculating now. On October 15th, Victoria summoned Albert, and I'm going to read directly from her diary entry because it's kind of cute.
Cool.
And she was just nervous, and it's all proper. "I said to him, that I thought he must be aware of why I wished him to come, and that it would make me too happy if he would consent to what I wished, namely to marry. We embraced each other over and over again, and he was so kind and affectionate. Oh, to feel I was and am loved by such an angel as Albert was a great delight to describe. He is perfection, and this was all capitalized. Perfection in every way, in beauty, in everything. And I'm just going to say, like, she used perfection a lot. Like, it was like an obsessive word to describe Albert, and I just think that's pretty cute. Of course, Albert accepted immediately. They called in his brother Ernest to share the news, and then Albert went to talk to Lazen, not to his mother-in-law-to-be, but to, the governess, which showed that he knew his bride-to-be's true feelings about her mother. Victoria wrote to Uncle Leopold about Albert's perfection and also that she knew this would be a great sacrifice in her opinion, but that she would do her best to make it less of one for him. Like, she knew, if you marry me, you're sacrificing something. Now, Victoria didn't tell her mother about the engagement for a month.
Wow.
When the Duchess was finally told almost a month later, she cried joyfully, but also apparently mentioned other people that had wanted to marry Victoria. Not in great taste. She also became worried about their age, because they were really young, as well as where she would live once Albert and Victoria married.
She was concerned about their age. So she would have been like 21 at this point, about, right?
No, I think she was maybe 20.
Okay.
At this point.
Because I thought she ascended when she was 19.
She was 18, so
18,
it's 2 years later, so
20.
she's 20.
Which I still have to say, though, for Victorian England or whatever, 20 does not feel like young. You know what I mean? It feels like, yep, nope, you're actually probably getting a little bit past your time.
I wonder if it has to do with, like, a mother's, just...
Society may say one thing, but mothers will always say
the
another.
Mothers care for the daughters more, and like, you guys are so young, and are you sure? And you just became. I mean, even though her mother was meddling and controlling, all of it was with the intention to get her to this place in her life, to get her on the throne and to get her prepared for it. And so it might just be like, are you sure you want to go so fast into this? Because also she'd been kind of like, I don't really want to get married. And then he shows up and she's like completely changed her tune.
I also wonder, though, if it's like the exact same thing that we do, right? Which is, so like I think about it, and my parents got married when they were 23, right? And I never got the impression from them that they were like, you should be getting married by the time you were 23. I think if anything, they were sort of like, hey, whoa, what's the hurry? You know what I mean? Because for them, they kind of went, well, we got married when we were 23, and maybe that wasn't the smartest thing to get married when we were so young. I mean, they're still together now, so, all's well that ends well. But I just think it's kind of, I wonder if the same thing happened with the Duchess. Isn't that her name?
I mean, her name's Victoire. I just keep calling her the Duchess, her mother, yeah.
But I just wonder if, her whole history of coming from Germany and divorced, or her husband died or something.
No, he died. Victoria's, she was divorced. She was a widow. Her first husband died, and then her second husband died. Remember, because she had the 2 children from the first marriage.
Yes, that's right.
I guess what you're saying, and it made me think of something. In movie tropes and things like that, you hear everybody saying, don't get married so young.
Sure.
I don't ever hear anyone being like, we got married at 19 and it was the best decision ever. Obviously, there are people who they did that and it was wonderful, and they've had a wonderful long marriage and it was the right choice. I feel like you hear more people who got married young who have regrets or second thoughts about it. Or maybe it wasn't a complete mistake, but it was like harder than it might have been had they waited a little longer.
But the amount of people, though, that I know that have said that personally, of just like, no, I was just not in a place mentally, mature wise, whatever, to get married. And I just shouldn't have done it, and I was 21 and dumb and blah, blah, blah,
it's
blah,
a
blah.
major commitment, and she's also got like the most major commitment on her plate. Also, so her mom was probably just looking out for her. And also she was worried about where she'd live after they got married.
True.
Anyway, but regardless of all of this, the couple was in a love bubble, complete with giggling, kisses on the forehead, hand-holding, and declarations of love and even lust.
Ooh.
Quoting Victoria,
Oh, boy.
I said to Albert that we should be very, very intimate together, and that he might come in and out when he pleased. Oh, how happy I shall be to be very, very intimate with him. She used a lot of varies.
Oh my gosh.
It's funny too, because I can't express this when I read things. I do enunciate certain words, but it's like the words in the book where it's directly quoting, it'll be all caps or
Sure.
italicized or like 4 exclamation points.
Right.
Like, it's kind of funny. She
writes like a teenager.
yeah, I mean, she's actually a prolific writer, and she does write some things that are much more thoughtful, but in her like personal stuff around this sort of thing, it's absolutely like a teenager. And she's 20. She's basically a teenager.
I know. Well, I'm just making the comparison of just like, oh, she's using perfection. It's sort of like when you're a teenager, it's like right now, I don't know what the new slang is and everything, but I feel like fire is one of them, or lit. Which is like,
He's
oh my God, he
fire.
is so lit. Like she's talking to her friend and being like, have I told you, like, seriously, like he's so fire. Oh my God, like fire, fire, fire. Like when he walked in, I seriously was just like, fire.
I feel like we're maybe not exactly using this totally
We're
right.
totally
either.
not, and you know
We
it's
should
gonna
move on as-
date us,
as
but
old
that's not our
millennials.
audience. So I don't think,
Hey, maybe.
anyways.
I don't
maybe
know.
it is.
Hey, we accept all
Hey,
generations.
You know, if y'all are out there listening and giggling at our lack of knowledge when it comes to youth slang, just shoot us an email.
Explain it to us,
Explain
please.
it to us.
It's I know it's I was gonna say something about sus. Let's move on. Actually, the next thing I had after that quote that I didn't read was blush, which isn't a thing, but it can be a thing.
Yeah.
Start using it, kids.
Oh gosh. Now I'm thinking of Mean Girls.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen. Oh my gosh, we're rewatching all the Marvel movies, and when Spider-Man's like, remember that really, really old movie, Alien? Anyway, okay, it worked out though. Okay, so Victoria was passionate and vocal, and Albert was more reserved and pragmatic. He was an outdoorsman, and she wanted to go look at paintings of the outdoors. So I guess opposites attract. She was the most famous woman in Britain, possibly the world, and he was a rather unknown German. And I can't leave this out. Albert said that Victoria hadn't grown since he last saw her 3 years before, as he had, but stated she had acquired much greater firmness. If only Victoria had lived in today's world of body positivity and size inclusiveness. I feel like she would feel a lot better about herself.
You know, I'm with you. It's a
mean,
shame.
You know, spoiler alert, they do get married, and it goes on from there, despite her firmness.
You know what? I think it's like that old thing where it's like, you know, Albert is sitting over there being like, oh, despite her firmness, but in his actual mind, he's being like, dude, that firmness, I want to grab on.
Firmness.
I want to grab it.
I like it.
You know? And I think that's like sort of the truth of what's happening these days, where it's like, finally guys are admitting that they like girls with a little bit of curve, a little bit of meat on their bones. And like, it's been the newspapers and society that's been saying for forever, like, no, these are the standards that we have. Yeah,
it's
right.
Just because like hot couture clothing looks better on tall, real, thin people because it's goofy looking in general.
Did I tell you about like one of the first girls that I can ever remember having a crush on?
No.
Okay, so this is my story of how like I have always since the beginning of my memory been more interested in women who have some curves and some meat to them, okay? Mm-hmm. All I'm going to tell you is this girl's name, and you can fill in all of the blanks, and it's going to be, and if you're out there, girl, dude, I hope you're doing so good, and I had the biggest crush on you. Her name was Olga.
Ooh.
And again, think of a Valkyrie.
Okay.
We've arrived.
Okay. Sounds good. I watched a couple season or two of the Vikings, and you know, the women that fought in the Viking stuff, and like, I don't know.
All I'm saying is that you know, all y'all thick people out there.
Thick is a word that the kids use. Thick.
Yeah, all y'all thick girls and boys out there and in betweens. I don't know what all the language is now.
I'm one of them anyway.
keep being you, because people are into it. I'm just saying.
Yep. Well, okay, let's hear a little bit more about Albert, actually, though, because he's here, they're engaged. Let's know more about Albert.
Yeah.
He's the newest character in our story. Now, from a young age, Albert was wise, cheerful, and had strong principles. He wrote in a diary when he was young, quote, "I intend to train myself to be a good and useful man." So he had principles, and he went to Italy to learn on Victoria's request and, did all that.
He was resolute.
Resolute. Actually, resolute, I think, was in the book to describe him.
There we go.
Anyway. Now, his family was not without philandering and scandal.
Well,
His father, Duke of Ernst, and I don't know why it's Ernst and not Ernest like the son, but it's Ernst.
it's German. It's like in Swiss Family. It's I want to say of that region. So in Swiss Family Robinson, there's Fritz and Ernst.
I know,
not
but
Ernest.
But his son is Ernest, so I don't know. Anyway,
Well, they're two different names. There's Ernest.
Ernst and Ernest. Okay,
There's scared, stupid, and then I'm just kidding.
His father, Duke of Ernst of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. I don't know if it was Gotha or Gotha, but whatever. It looks like Goth with an A at the end.
Sounds like somebody saying Gosha, but with a lisp.
Maybe.
Gotha.
Gotha.
Or from that place in Spain where they lisp.
That's Barcelona.
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 Yeah, there we go.
Valencia.
So we're going to Gotha?
Actually, when I went to Barcelona, I was like trying to say things properly there, and I was like, ¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, gracias. Anyway, okay, I'll stop because my Spanish is like basically gone.
I have none. So.
I have a minor, and I needed to take like a couple more classes to get the major, and I just lost it all. Okay.
Yeah.
So his father was not faithful to his mother, Louise. After a few years after Albert and his brother were born, Louise started straying from the marriage herself. So his father was cheating on his mother, and then after the kids were born, she kind of was like, well, he's cheating on me. I'm going to go do whatever I want to do because he's a jerk. Albert's father was not a nice man and cast her out, even though he'd been doing the exact same thing for years.
Come on.
There were rumors that Albert's father was not his father at all, too. Does that sound familiar?
Yes. Who was that again? Was that
Conroy? Not Conroy. Actually, was Conroy too. It was. Why is my brain going blank?
I can't remember.
No, it's like such an easy one. Oh, it was Melbourne, Lord Melbourne.
Okay, there we go.
But
right.
now anyway. But Lord Melbourne's rumors that he was not actually
his
his father,
man.
Lord Melbourne's child. Yeah. The Duke actually thought that Albert's father may have been one of his own childhood friends. So, like, the Duke's friend may have been his son's father. Anyway, for 3 years between when Louise had been kicked out of the house and when they were actually able to acquire a divorce, which they did. They got a divorce. She asked frequently for updates about Albert and his brother Ernest, and his father would never provide them. And also, in the meantime, he was just running around, like, shaming her publicly.
Of course.
And saying she was this harlot or whatever.
Of course.
Shortly after they divorced, Louise was actually able to remarry Alexander von Hanstein. Sadly, just 5 years after that, she died of uterine cancer.
Oh.
I know, it's sad. She wished to be buried with her second husband, von Hanstein, who had loved her enough even though she pretty much had a scarlet letter on her chest.
Yeah.
When Albert and Ernest's father died in 1846, they actually dug Louisa up from where she was buried next to her second husband in Western Germany and moved her and buried her next to their father in the family crypt.
I think the term is exhumed.
Exhumed, yes. They exhumed the body. Then the brothers made a newer, fancier crypt in 1860 and moved both of their parents there. And the book said that all of this was to give them this sense of unified parents, which had not been the case during their upbringing. It was interesting. They had a very traumatizing upbringing because of all of this.
Sure, I can imagine.
And because of all of this, Albert was like allergic to infidelity, which likely contributed to Victoria and Albert's strong and faithful marriage. Victoria had not seen the perfect family growing up, and neither had Albert. And they both made tremendous effort on the success of their marriage because of it.
That's great.
Victoria still had daily visits with Lord Melbourne, and Albert was around during this engagement period. Melbourne helped Victoria draft a statement to Parliament to notify them of her intent to marry Albert. she wrote that she hated having to share this personal information with a bunch of strangers. But this is an example of heavy is the head, wears the crown. But as I was typing that phrase, I was wondering where it came from. So I did a little Googling, and it turns out the phrase has evolved. Originally, it was uneasy lies the head that wears the crown.
Interesting.
And it came from Shakespeare.
Oh, surprise.
Yeah. Specifically, it was Henry IV, Part 2, which I don't remember Henry IV, Part 1. I didn't even remember
most
Henry
of the Henry series is most people don't know of Shakespeare's work.
I'd never heard of it, and I felt like I was in like AP English. I read some shit.
And actually, just as a little shout out for anybody there that's curious, there is an absolutely fantastic movie on Netflix called The King with Timothy Chalamet. And it is based.
This is newer than.
It is. It's like 2 years, 3 years, maybe old, 4 years. And it's all about Henry V. And Chalamet plays Henry V, but prior to becoming Henry V, his name is his original name prior to becoming the king.
Wait, Henry V or Henry IV? Because this is Henry IV.
I thought it was Henry V.
Well, go ahead and watch the Timothy Chalamet.
It's medieval. It has like Hotspur in it and stuff like that. If you know the name Hotspur, he's for anybody in England, they all know Hotspur because of the Tottenham Hotspurs, which is a football team.
Oh, okay.
Hotspur was an actual historical figure. We're getting way off track here, but he was an actual historical figure who became something of like a folk hero and a comic book person way later in life.
Okay. Well, The King sounds good.
It's really good.
Not
really
to
good.
totally pinpoint where we are in this because it's been going on for a while. The writer's strike is this year. So I need more shows that are already like out.
I've already told you have to watch The Righteous Gemstones.
I also need to watch Ted Lasso. So I got a lot of things to watch. Anyway,
Dude,
adding The King to the list.
Ted Lasso makes me want to be a better person.
I know, but I
don't
don't have Apple TV, so I gotta. It's fine.
No, you get 3 months for free with your computer.
Oh, okay. Well, I gotta figure. I just bought this computer, so I gotta figure that out. Okay, cool. I will. Thank you. Thanks for the tip.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. So people wanted to know more about Albert. He was engaged to the Queen.
As do I.
As I will share with you. There were mixed opinions, but it was leaning toward positive. He was well educated, talented in music and poetry. He was also German and Victoria's cousin. The book states that while it was common in the upper class to marry cousins, it wasn't so much accepted in the lower classes. So the subjects were like, we don't like this. They were like, this is normal. In the bourgeoisie,
Just think of the Madonna song.
in the bourgeoisie, in the upper class, it was to keep the family bloodline pure and intact and the power close to home. Only a few decades later, you'll know Charles Darwin.
Oh, yes.
He was researching the statistics around marriage between cousins. He noted that in the bourgeoisie, 10% of marriages were between first or second cousins. There's also an interesting note that even Beatrix Potter, who wrote Peter Rabbit and other books, said that Benjamin Potter grew up and married his cousin Flopsy.
Oh, okay.
So it was like common enough. In 1862, Darwin's research was helping him catch on to the fact that marriage between relatives could result in birth defects in other inherited diseases.
He was the one that figured that out almost.
Yeah, I mean, he was researching it. Maybe he wasn't the only one, but he was researching it.
Wow.
As he himself had had a myriad of ailments that he passed along to his children. His parents had been cousins, and he married his cousin.
Ooh.
Darwin's son George collected data to investigate. The craziest part, though, they concluded that the inbreeding negatively affected the poorer classes more than the upper class.
Oh, boy.
So they were on to something, but they were also, like, biased.
Wow. That's very strange that you would think a naturalist, right? The person that literally invented the concept of evolution would be like, oh yeah, but amongst us monkeys that are in a society over here,
The higher level monkeys.
the wealthier ones, they're fine. It's the poor ones. It's like, oh dude, what are you doing?
I mean, it was, we're progressing every day in human time.
Gosh.
Anyway. So I mentioned earlier that Melbourne was somewhat against Albert because of him being Victoria's cousin, and it was also because Albert was a German. Apparently, Germans were thought to be wild and smoke too much and not bathe enough. Interestingly, though, every British monarch between 1714 and 1901 married a German.
Wow.
And their artists and philosophers were making their way into the British circles at the time, but not the French. They still hated the French.
Well, of course.
It was Napoleon, and
That's a hatred that will never die.
No, French. There was another issue, though. Although Albert was Protestant, much of his family was Catholic. And if we remember from an earlier episode, the monarch cannot marry a Catholic. Melbourne had been a bad advisor again, and the address that he had written for Victoria to give to Parliament didn't include the word Protestant in it.
Oh my gosh.
So the Duke of Wellington made a big stink about it. Because of this, Albert had to draw up a family tree and pointed out also that Martin Luther, the leader of the Protestant Revolution, had written some psalms in Coburg, where he was from and where his family was from and where Victoria's family was from.
Oh my gosh.
Just to prove I am a Protestant.
Wow.
These religious things, very important in this time.
By the way, the amount of people that do not know who Martin Luther was in this world is shocking.
I mean, I was raised in a Methodist church, so I knew the heck out of Martin Luther.
I was raised in a religious cult, so I knew who he was as well.
Well, there you go. You trump me, but I know the Methodists love their Martin Luther.
I mean, to be fair, he was a very interesting character, but it's just amazing. Like,
Yes.
I remember having roommates and stuff and watching Jeopardy, and like questions about Martin Luther would come up and be like, "Who is Martin Luther?" And they'd just be like, "Martin Luther King?" And I'm like,
No, he wasn't the OG Martin Luther.
No.
He had an awesome name, though.
He did. Very, very different, though. Very different time. Anyway.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are other things to consider when a monarch marries. One important thing is the spouse's income, because like when you're in the monarchy, like you have to have income because it's not like you're going out and working. I mean, your job is being in the monarchy.
Yeah.
Victoria asked for £50,000. I'm guessing per year. I think I didn't write that, but it's per year. And the Tories agreed to only £30,000, a decision which Albert scoffed, "As long as I live, I will never forgive those internal scoundrels with Peel, nasty wretch, at their head." And if we remember, Victoria didn't like Peel, that guy from the last, they had the whole bedchamber crisis thing.
Yeah.
I just wonder what would have happened to Albert's salary if Melbourne had not created this whole like Whig Tory riff and like just thrown fuel on the fire of it.
Totally.
I don't know.
I mean, like, I think Albert was going to be just fine. I mean, he was sitting there in this friggin' castle all day and chilling with the queen. I think he's going to be okay.
He's going to be fine. They also had to decide where Albert would fit in the official hierarchy, which determined where he would go in processions and whatnot. We haven't really mentioned this, but Victoria still had 3 living uncles. Another Ernest. Remember, he was the one that the Duchess was worried might poison her milk.
Another Ernest?
Yeah, Uncle Ernest, her Uncle Ernest. Augustus Frederick and Adolphus.
Okay.
None of them wanted Albert to be too far up in this hierarchy. Because, like, if Victoria died and had no living heir, like, could go back to the uncles,
Yeah.
This is a great place to drop in a little bit of information. Victoria's grandfather, George III, also known as Mad King George,
Yes.
he had 15 children with his wife, Charlotte.
Holy moly.
13 of which lived to adulthood. So these are like Victoria's father and aunts and uncles. There are 15 of them total. 13 lived to adulthood.
Wow.
In the book I'm using, there is a 2-page family tree. And George III's family is just so big, they flat out omitted 2 children altogether because they didn't make it to adulthood, as well as all of the girls because, well, male primogeniture.
Wow.
So, because I was looking and I was like, wow, it's kind of weird that he had only sons.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't that he had only sons. It's just that's all the only ones. And the book has a little like footnote in the family tree that says like we've omitted certain people.
Oh my gosh. It makes me, it's like, I won't even say what show it is because I know that you haven't seen it yet, but there's a very good show that you have to watch. And there's a point where they're talking about, there's like an acronym in their corporate structure of like paperwork, and it's marked as NRPI. And they're like, what is that? And you eventually discover that it's through their cover-ups and it stands for no real person involved. So like if like a guest at a theme park vanishes, that's okay. That's not a real person.
Oh, God.
No real person
I'm guessing
involved.
this is Succession, but what we need to do is create an Apple Note that's shared and just list the shows.
We do.
And then if anybody who's listening is like, I want to see the list of shows, we could just add you to the Apple Note if you're an
That
iPhone
might be
user.
Fun. We should just add a page on the website that says shows and movies we've mentioned.
Oh, that also, yeah, we could add that. I could do that. I'm the webmaster, right?
Yes.
I can do that. Put it on the list. Intern.
Intern that's not here. Chop chop.
Well, Victoria blamed the Duke of Wellington for Albert's placement in the hierarchy. And because of it, the Duke almost didn't get invited to their wedding. But Melbourne got him in. But the Duke of Wellington was not invited to the reception. So she was like, I don't want any Tories at my wedding, especially the Duke of Wellington.
Ooh.
So, yeah, that just keeps going on. It's just like, I don't know. There's a lot of political battle that's going
Petty
on.
dramas
Yeah,
and
petty
stuff.
dramas, yes. So next was the matter of deciding who would be in Albert's court, because he did not ladies in waiting, but he had his little entourage.
Gentlemen in waiting.
Albert wanted a mix of Whigs and Tories. And Melbourne and Victoria wanted Albert to include this guy named George Anson, who was Melbourne's private secretary at the time.
Okay.
This might have been Albert and Victoria's first lovers' quarrel. But Victoria got her way on the condition that Anson stop being Melbourne's private secretary. So this guy was Lord Melbourne's private secretary, and then they wanted him to also be Albert's private secretary, or in the entourage at least.
Man in waiting or whatever
Man
it's
in
called.
waiting, yeah, whatever it is. And he was like, I will do it as long as he's no longer Lord Melbourne's private secretary. But the funny thing is, like, this was a point of contention. They were pretty mad about all this.
Yeah.
And he was like, fine, begrudgingly accepts it. It turns out in the end it was fine because Albert and George Anson became like really great friends.
Oh, well, that's cute.
It was more of a like, we want this, and it turned out good.
We became best buddies, little bromance.
Yeah. There was indeed a bit of an establishment of dominance going on here between Victoria and Albert, both wishing to not be usurped. Victoria was adamant that she was not taken over in power by a husband, and Albert that he was not emasculated by his wife. He had a small amount of family money, and then he insisted that remain under his control. At this time, they would write letters to each other that were very, this is the way I need it. And then they would end the letter with much love, my dear.
So a classic marriage.
Yes. Rabble, and I love you.
I know we're fighting, but at the end of the day, I still love you.
Well, and I think this showed a level of emotional maturity that I think kept their marriage happy. Because, I mean, let's be real. Marriages are hard enough.
Totally.
If one of you is the Queen of England,
Oh
yikes.
my gosh, I know.
Because of all this, Albert told Victoria, and I quote, "Do not confuse business with personal matters, and that disagreements are not failure of my love towards you or towards yourself, which nothing can shake." So I do think that Victoria was definitely more of she's a little more like me. Like, she might have the outburst of passionate statement and everything. Albert was very cool, collected, calculated. He was passionate, but it was more of an internal passion. He just seemed more in control of those sorts of outbursts, and they both did seem to be able to really like separate the love in their marriage from the practicality of their station.
Cool.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's see. Victoria also wanted Albert to get a royal rank, and specifically that of king. Melbourne said no to this. At this point, it's kind of like you, me, and Melbourne makes 3. A few weeks before the wedding, Lord Melbourne wrote Albert telling him 3 things. 1, Albert and Victoria had to agree on all matters. I wrote in notes, yikes, that's a bit of a tall order.
So Melbourne wrote this?
Yes. The prime minister is telling the queen's fiance, you have to agree on all matters.
Wow. Okay. And not in like a mutual way, in like basically him saying you got to get in line.
because it's coming from Melbourne on Victoria's behalf, who's the queen. He's basically saying, you do what, if you can't come to an agreement, her decision is the agreement.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I don't think he's wrong, but there's more that you'll come see later that'll be interesting related to this.
Okay.
Albert needed to stay out of politics. So
altogether.
And Albert, we'll find out more, but he was really interested in helping the people of England.
Okay.
So he didn't want to stay out of politics. And Albert needed to pick Whigs sympathetic to Melbourne's government for his little entourage.
I'm liking Melbourne a little bit less.
I mean, have we liked Melbourne that much altogether? He definitely was a baby slapper, and
oh, that's right. He was the baby spanker.
But then again, everybody is very complex.
I guess I'm coming from the standpoint of he seemed like one of the few people that genuinely had Victoria's interests in mind and was there for her and not trying to steal anything from her, outside of his grossness.
Yeah, I agree. So he definitely. He was doing his best to advise her. However, he was very, conflict averse and didn't even really care about politics that much. So he kind of.
But this is so strange that he's in the okay, then you need to have Whigs here that are sympathetic to my causes
because
and
it was
you
less
can't be
conflict.
In
so if he's got a bunch of Whigs stationed everywhere, it makes it easier for him.
Got it.
And also Victoria. Now this was misguided, but she was a Whig. She wasn't really supposed to be.
Right.
But she didn't agree with the Tories. So I would say that these statements are looking out for Victoria and her interest and her control, which also was intertwined with his control at the time.
Okay.
I mean, he was her first prime minister. There's going to be way more. So this isn't a forever thing.
Sure.
But I think that you're going to see there's a lot of people who we get Victoria into power, but she's a woman, and so we gotta actually
have a puppet behind her kind
a
of
little
thing.
bit. And so anyway, I do think though in everything I've read, I think Melbourne loved Victoria in a fatherly way. He wanted to see her happy and successful. That's why he was I don't know if you should marry your cousin, that's bad optics. It wasn't just it wasn't jealousy or anything. It was coming from a place of protection.
Sure.
I don't know. And then also, it's hard to be completely selfless. He was the prime minister, so he's trying to also make his own life good. I don't know. But I just thought it was pretty funny that he wanted them to agree on all matters.
Yeah, that's crazy that he feels that he can make that demand,
I don't know. He was the father figure for Victoria for some time there. Now, with all of these demands, these three demands, Albert was not okay with this. Their marriage was happy, but the book talks about how it was indeed an effort to make it so that they were both feeling that they had power, but they were both headstrong, and it was definitely an ongoing clash is a strong word, I feel like. Because you'll see again, they truly seem to love each other.
Right.
But there was a lot going on because of the unique circumstances they were in.
Maybe a constant arm wrestle.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. But it does seem like they were able to compartmentalize a bit. And
help me out here. Have they actually gone through the wedding ceremony
No, not yet. We're getting there.
Okay, cool.
So I'm kind of talking about this as part of a seed in the long growth. Seed is the wrong one. Just the beginning thing in the long journey of their marriage.
The trend, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, we're close to the wedding, and this tidbit's pretty cute. Albert had grown a thin mustache, which it makes me, I know he bulked up, but he'd always been kind of sickly. So thinking of him having this kind of thin, wispy mustache,
there's a difference between thin and wispy, because I've seen some British gentlemen in smoking jackets that have really nicely parted hair and then those really thin little pencil mustaches, and they look classy as hell.
I guess it's a thin mustache. I'm not sure if it's wispy. I think it's thin.
There's a guy on TikTok who his whole thing is he just stands in public places and gives people compliments in a very snooty British way, but in a smoking jacket and with the mustache and the whole gimmick. So he'll just be like, you sir, great posture. It's awesome.
That's making me chuckle. Great posture.
Wonderful posture, sir. Keep it up.
Well, Albert had grown a thin mustache. That's as much description as I have.
Okay.
Victoria loved the mustache.
Of course.
She told him not to shave it for the wedding.
Oh my gosh.
And that she loved it so much, she asked Lord Melbourne if they could make the mustache part of the cavalry's uniform.
Oh my gosh.
His answer was that he saw no objection to that.
So is that the reason why mustaches are now allowed in the British military? It has
I
to
think
be.
so. I think it's yes, it is related.
Wow.
I was trying to read. I did Google this for a few minutes to be like, okay, so did they make a change? But it is why you're allowed to have a mustache.
So the reason I think that is so amazing, and most people just be like, why do you care about this? Probably. But I'm like, think about that for a second. The entire propriety of the British military is based off of a old queen's sexual preferences.
Sexual,
Well, whatever, attractive preferences.
Yes.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? Sexually attractive preferences. Whatever.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Preferences, maybe. Just
yes,
physical preferences.
or preferences.
Yeah, and her
Anyway,
being like, ooh, a man with a mustache is just so hot, so I want the whole military to have mustaches.
I mean,
like, if
my
they want them.
My husband has a mustache. He's got a goatee, but
Yeah.
he's got the mustache.
Yeah. I just think that's hilarious.
So let's get back to politics because it's a part of the whole thing.
It's like if I was the president and I said, I love high heels. That's it. Everybody in the military is wearing high heels.
Everyone in the military wears high heels.
Just be like, what?
Okay, did you see the Barbie movie?
Yes.
Okay,
So
when
good.
she's wearing high heels and she's like, I would never wear these if my feet were shaped like this.
That's right.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. We were at the water park the other day and I saw a lot of new Birkenstocks, like,
Of course.
and some pink Birkenstocks. And I was like, these are Barbie Birkenstocks.
Absolutely, those are Barbie Birkenstocks. No, I really, really loved it. Really enjoyed it. I went and saw it, like a matinee of it when there's no, like, barely anybody in the theater, and it was awesome. It was great.
It is a visual feat. It's just great.
It looked great. The script was wonderful.
It was incredible.
It was very tongue in cheek. The way that I described it, and we're tangenting for a second here, but the way I described it to Kat is when I came out, I was like, it felt like to me artistically when they were writing the script, and I would be willing to bet this is exactly what happened. I can imagine the two people that wrote it literally brought into their big shared office a gigantic box of old Barbies and old Barbie clothing, and I literally think they played Barbies.
Oh, I'm sure.
With each other, and we're like, oh, hey, Barbie, I'm Ken. I'm just going to
Hi,
magically
Barbie. Hi,
float
Barbie.
right on down from the top of the house
Hi,
all the way
Barbie.
down into the ground and over here into the car. Oh, hi, Ken. Hi, Ken. Hi, Ken. Hi, Ken. And they're just literally having fun like kids, but through the lens of an adult, because so many of those scenes played out exactly like that. It was exactly like kids playing with dolls, but it was adults playing with dolls and having fun with a script.
The thing that is interesting, it's like you see Barbie movie and you think, oh, okay, it's for kids, and it's
Not at all.
It is not. It is for us.
It is for us.
And I love that
Agreed.
because nostalgia is one of the best emotions.
And I will also say that I appreciated it in that it was well written enough that if a kid went and saw it, I would imagine most jokes would fly over their
Yeah.
heads, and it'd probably be okay, but it's still not necessarily a kid's movie. No, I guess there's some hesitation. I guess there's been some commentary going on about how a lot of men have had issues with it for some weird reason or whatever. I don't know. I personally watched the whole thing, was just like, guys, if you don't get this, if you don't see this, you're crazy. Like you don't understand what's happening around you then. But that's just my opinion.
I just loved everything about it. It's definitely been giving me a lot of thoughts and ideas and almost inspiration. I mean,
Sure.
I think I've told you, like, I want to write a book or I want to write a screenplay and it's just like kind of like what you were talking about. I don't know if it was before we turned on recording about how like you always wanted to be in radio, but it was an impossible dream because there's only so many DJ jobs out there. And then now
radio
podcasting has changed. Radio died and podcasting has come up, and now there's this like abundance of possibility.
Right.
And I guess that abundance of possibility is something that I'm considering a lot myself.
Yeah, dude. I'm totally with you.
Anyway, let's get back to Albert. Segue. So At this point in time, Albert had nonpartisanship on the brain. Melbourne was a Whig. He kind of threw fuel on the fire, as I said earlier, of the fights between the Whigs and the Tories. And Albert's ability to reach across the aisle, the book says that over time, it probably prevented a revolution. Because kind of like we have in today's politics, like it was very like Whigs and Tories, Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah.
Albert was like, let's just fix stuff and let's work together.
Like a logical, sound human. That's refreshing.
Common sense. So Victoria was plagued by these Tories, and it was likely due to Melbourne planting seeds in her mind of how bad they were. And throughout their marriage, Albert would work to cut Melbourne down in Victoria's eyes, and he believed all of Victoria's mistakes in her first 2 years were Melbourne's fault. And I think I said that in the last episode. And he was ultimately going to have Melbourne pay because he gave he gave her some good personal advice, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And there's actually something coming up in a second. But his kind of, is it ambivalence? Like, I don't know, something that just kind of, he just didn't do the best job as her primary advisor because she like wouldn't even really get advice from other people. She kind of got locked onto him. She seems like she gets like hyper focused a little bit.
Sure.
Anyway, we'll move on and have more on that later. We're getting close to the wedding, and just like many people, Victoria had the jitters. They were royal jitters. She had the royal jitters.
The royal jitters.
She was nervous and anxious because she was wondering if she was good enough for Albert. She was down on her appearance, as we've said before, and she believed he was perfection. She was fretting over having children, being intimate, and worst of all, the prospect of Albert growing bored with her after a few years and straying from the marriage. A thought that was indelicately placed in her head by Lord Melbourne, who had a lot of experience in that sort of thing. So he's trying to be a realist, and then, but you don't just like put that in the head of someone who's getting married. Like it's just
young and naive and impressionable.
Yes. She was feeling ill before the wedding. So she called the Chucklehead, is now my new favorite name for someone that's dumb. Chucklehead.
She called him, who, Melbourne or Albert?
Dr. Clark. Remember Dr. Clark?
Yeah, he comes again.
He diagnosed her with measles. I have no idea how you diagnose someone with measles. Aren't there spots?
Right? This is the same man that diagnosed a woman being pregnant without ever physically examining her, though, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes. Yeah. And also who, when Victoria was sick before she ascended to the throne, he was like, here's some rhubarb.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That'll do it.
Yeah, Chucklehead.
Chucklehead.
That is they use that in Barbie, and now Chucklehead's my new favorite thing.
Do they use that in Barbie?
Yeah, she the mom is like, these Chuckleheads. Anyway, because
that term's been around for a long time, right?
Yeah, I know, but I just hadn't heard it in a long time, so I'm like, Chucklehead.
It's a good one.
Anyway, so Victoria's lost some weight. Maybe this is a silver lining. She's getting married. But spoiler alert, it wasn't just stress. It was just stress. It wasn't measles. It was stress. At this point, Melbourne did give her some helpful advice, as I mentioned. She was so nervous, and he pointed out, and I quote, marriage was natural, but her job as a monarch was the unnatural part. So she's getting like overwhelmed about everything. And it's possible that it's this marriage part. If she had that by herself, it would be okay. If she had the monarchy by herself, it would be okay. Putting them together is amplifying both. But the real thing that's like getting married is people do it, and it's good. Like partnership and love and all that stuff. So I thought that was good advice, maybe counteracting the whole thing that he said that Albert's going to have a wandering eye soon.
Sure.
Whatever. So when Albert arrived, it took the edge off. So he'd gone home for a while between when they got engaged and when they were actually getting married. And so he came back. It took the edge off of her concern and her illness. Of course, he'd been described as sickly, and he didn't fare so well on the voyage back from Germany, quoting that he likened himself to a wax candle when he arrived. He was disappointed, though, because Victoria only offered 2 to 3 days for their honeymoon, reminding him that she was the queen and the world didn't stop turning for her to take a 2-week honeymoon.
Yeah.
She was too busy, a real dutiful workaholic. And quoting from the book, because this conveys her mindset in the time. At the time of her wedding, she was as contradictory and complicated as she would be throughout her life, publicly vowing to obey her husband at precisely the same time as she privately overruled his wishes. Which also makes me think about like Queen Elizabeth too, because like she was like a saucy bossy queen.
Hey, I think there's a reason that we seldom heard from or saw. Was it George? Was that her guy?
No, Queen Elizabeth's husband was.
I thought it was George, because that's why the kid is named George or something.
Queen. I just pulled out the Google here, but I can't type. Philip.
Phil. That's what it is. Old
Philip.
Phil. I didn't even know for a long time that he was even, first of all, alive.
Yeah. I know.
I was just like throughout my teen years and stuff, because I never
You
saw
just thought
Murphy.
she
I
was a
like,
widow?
I thought, yeah, he died a long time ago. Now she's just the queen, you know?
he's there.
Yeah, he was there the whole time.
Yeah, he lived a long time. They both lived a long time. Oh man.
See, I think Elizabeth was just like, yeah, Phil, you're gonna sit down. You're not gonna say anything. I'm gonna do everything. Don't you worry.
I mean, I haven't done any recent research on Queen Elizabeth, but like she was super particular. I told you the thing about like if she held her purse a certain way, it meant everybody get out of there.
Was that Elizabeth? Or I thought that was Victoria.
No, that was Elizabeth. That was Elizabeth. I don't know if Victoria. I haven't gotten that far in Victoria, but Elizabeth did that. She also had things that like I can't remember the foods, but it was like you couldn't. They literally didn't even have. It wasn't onions, but like no onions or something.
No, it was the exact opposite. She, Queen Victoria, ate. I want to say it was steamed onions every single day.
Oh, sorry. And I was talking about Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. That's what I meant. I was saying steamed
something
onions
else
every day, not Victoria. I'm getting my queens mixed up now.
But she had very particular dietary habits that like the entire, every palace that she was in, it was like you literally weren't allowed to buy that ingredient. It couldn't be like served in like some dishes and then there was some for her. It's like no one could have it.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Now
whatever.
we're getting into like a. Now I'm souring on Elizabeth just a little bit because of that.
Think of it as a quirk. Let's do that.
I guess, but it's like a prima donna singer who's like, I won't have any green M&Ms in my M&M jar. You have to take all the green ones out. It's like, oh my god.
I don't know. I just think about my diet and because my mother is kind of picky, and I definitely didn't eat certain things because she didn't prepare them for me.
Well,
so.
okay, but it'd be different though that if your mom went over to your friend's house and just like, that's it, throw out your paprika.
The other day I put way too much paprika on something and then it turned out to be delicious anyway. So.
Oh, dude, paprika is an unsung hero of cooking.
It's a wonderful spice. Okay. Remember how Albert was horrified about infidelity?
Yes.
In planning the wedding, Victoria had to pick her bridal party. Albert wanted her to have women who weren't married or marred by adjacent adultery.
Okay.
Victoria picked people she wanted. She didn't care about whatever he thought, including someone named Lady Jersey, who'd been a mistress of her late uncle George IV. She also wanted a small ceremony, which was a tall order given that she was the queen and everyone wanted to come. She wanted to invite no Tories, but the Duke of Wellington, as previously mentioned, made the cut, as well as Lord Liverpool. So she had 2 Tories at her wedding. And spoiler alert, the wedding ended up being bigger than she'd wanted, but it all worked out.
I'm imagining all the women out there that were named Tory at the time.
Well, I mean, her name's Victoria. She could be Tory.
Yeah, right. But the amount that were just like, so I'm not welcome at your wedding?
No Tories.
No Tories.
Yeah. So it was the morning of February 10th, 1840. It was a stormy day. When she woke, she wrote a letter to Albert, whom she'd asked to stay the night at Buckingham Palace. Obviously not in the same room.
Of course.
But she wanted him to be close by so that she would sleep better.
Oh.
She wrote, "Dearest, how are you today? And have you slept well? I have rested very well and feel very comfortable today. What weather! I believe, however, the rain will cease. Send one word when you, my most dearly beloved bridegroom, will be ready. Thy ever faithful Victoria R." And the R is for Regina, the Latin word for queen. So she signed it Victoria R.
Very, very nice.
I was like, wait, Victoria R? And I had to Google it.
That's a very nice pre-wedding letter.
Yes, it is. It's very sweet.
It's very sweet.
She wore a white wedding dress trimmed with lace. It had It had a 6-yard train and orange blossoms on the end. She wore Turkish diamonds in her ears and a sapphire brooch that Albert had given her.
Oh.
The dress was low on the shoulders, and she wore her signature middle part with looped buns on either side of her head at her ears. She wore white satin slippers tied with ribbons around her ankles. All the items that she wore were from nearby, essentially supporting local before it was in vogue.
Very cool.
The silk was from London, the lace from nearby Devon. The pattern was made for her, and it was destroyed afterwards, so no one could ever use it.
That is metal.
I love it. It took 200 lace makers months to make it.
Jeez.
And this was actually in an attempt to help revive the dying handmade lace industry because
Wow.
machines were taking over.
Yeah.
She also asked that no one else wear white on the day. Now, this part is interesting. Writer Agnes Strickland incorrectly stated that Victoria had worn white, quote, not as a queen in her glittering trappings, but in spotless white, like a pure virgin to meet her bridegroom. But it was actually the best color to highlight the lace itself. Before this, white was not what brides wore traditionally, as white was very rare and expensive prior to bleaching being invented.
Interesting.
Brides mostly wore colorful dresses that could be reworn. White indicated you could afford to have your dress cleaned, so it was actually a symbol of wealth, not purity.
Wow.
And she made wearing white popular. She also helped the lace industry. There was a post-wedding surge in demand for lace.
Jeez.
So I thought that was really interesting because, like, now we'll say she's wearing white on her wedding day. She has a baby. You know, people would be catty about that and be like, she shouldn't wear white on her wedding day. And it wasn't anything to do with purity at all. But like
Weird.
we in modern times have turned it into purity, maybe because of this Agnes Strickland.
That's bizarre.
I know, isn't it wild? And then the thing that I think is cool is like more and more people, I had a white wedding dress because, hey, but more people are having different colored wedding dresses. And that's actually what people used to do.
Yeah.
So
Now, really quickly, can you reread how her hair was done?
yeah, so she had a part down the middle, and then she had basically like braids that kind of
Princess Leia.
Kind of, yes.
That's exactly why I wanted you to reread this again.
It's a little looser. They're a little looser though.
But
and
she
if you
was
look at
center
pictures,
part with buns around the ears, basically.
yes,
That is totally princess, like braided buns around the ears. That just is like probably a little bit more protruding, not quite as cinnamon rolly,
yeah, it's more loopy.
but it very much reminds me of Princess Leia.
Yeah, it was a little more in the front and less like a bagel.
Because that's also, it would make sense too, because that look, that the two braids on either side of the head is a very German, Bavarian.
Yeah,
look.
I do. I think of that. You're right. Like, yes, I didn't even think about that. I just see her picture. She basically has that hairstyle always.
Ah, okay. Oh, okay, then I know exactly what hairstyle you're talking about. And it is a little different, but it is still very German. It's a very like, it feels very like Fraulein.
So if you want, I can make a little like side-by-side of Princess Leia and Queen Victoria and put it on the website.
Or on like Insta or something like that.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
actually, we should put it on Insta and TikTok because it is a bit different, but I like the parallels.
Oh, and actually, just while we're on the subject, I'll briefly like to say, anybody that's found us off of TikTok so far, the past like week or so, I don't know if it's because of that or not, but we've seen like a pretty nice little surge in our numbers. We've gone from the tens to the hundreds of streams, and it's to you lovely people, to your credit out there, that are doing that. So I just want to say thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, and tell your friends. And I'm reading now that we're supposed to be asking for things like follow us and like us and
yes.
subscribe and write
I
reviews.
thought about
And I hate doing that, but I
Yeah.
guess I'm just going to throw it out there.
Well, I mean, we're getting followers on TikTok, which is nice, but I think what I do when I like a podcast is I follow it on there. So it's like in my recents
Yeah.
or something like that. So, but yeah, we're not like and follow.
No, I'd never want to, like every YouTube video you watch, so it's just
And
like,
they're
if you guys
what you
smash
saw,
that,
like and follow.
smash that subscribe button. I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
No, please smash nothing.
No smashing.
Blah.
Just give us a listen and enjoy.
Blah. Okay, so back to the wedding day. Since it was pretty much a torrential downpour that day, I just saw the Alanis Morissette Jagged Little Pill musical.
Uh-huh.
It's like rain on your wedding day.
I'm just thinking about that as like a Broadway show tune, and it's
Daniel, it was incredible.
Okay.
I'm sorry. We need to have a list of things that we love. And I'm going to tell you, if someone said, come see Jagged Little Pill again with me, I would do it in a heartbeat.
That's how I feel about Barbie.
I mean, actually, I feel that way too. And that actually, I was talking to you about how like I'm watching the show or that movie, and it's like giving me some ideas about things I might want to do and the abundance of creativity and the things like you used to think like, oh, if you can't get a show on ABC, then oh well.
Right.
Now there's streaming platforms, there's freaking YouTube. I mean, you can do anything you want. Anyway, but it's definitely all of this is making me think, and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a woman and I'm feeling more empowered, or I don't know, but
sure.
like seeing people like Diablo Cody and Greta Gerwig and like doing all this stuff, and it's good. But I will tell you, Jagged Little Pill is heavy. It's got incredibly sensitive subjects, but addressed in a really, really good way. And it's funny. And I mean, if you are...
Did they address the fact that the song Ironic is not ironic?
Actually, they did.
Good. I'm so glad they did.
They totally did. They called out a lot of stuff. The thing that was really cool is I listened to that album, Jagged Little Pill, like 1,000 times.
My parents had it and we listened to it a lot.
That's surprising to me because there's a lot of swearing and a lot of like...
My parents were big music heads, so they always listened to just like anything that was out.
Well, I loved it. I mean, that and Matchbox 20 Yourself or Someone Like You were like my two top. And then if you want to add another, the Wallflowers One Headlight album.
It's a great album.
So anyway, those were the CDs that were my adolescence, teenagers, 17 years old, 7th grade. And it was just so fun to see all those songs, and the choreography was incredible. It was just really great. I definitely recommend you see it.
I'm one of those people, and I'm just going to say dudes. I was raised on musicals, and for every single other human, I'm not even going to qualify it as just dudes, but any person that's just like, you like musicals, whatever slur you want to fill in. I always just go, yeah, I like music. I like good dancing, and I like the theater, and I like talented humans doing. How is this getting turned into a negative?
Yeah.
I just don't understand how musicals ever got wrapped up into something negative. I love them, always have. I have no issues with them, and the only thing I'm going to say about '90s music is that as the years and decades go by, I'm just going to go ahead and say that Blink-182's "Enema of the State" is a masterpiece album. It's a masterpiece. It is cover to cover.
Does that one have
Brilliant.
What's My Age Again on it?
It's got What's My Age Again. It's got Kevin's song. It's got Hey Mom, there's something in the back room about aliens, and it's great. And it's got God, what's that one? Please take me by the hand. It's so cold out tonight. I'll put blankets on the bed. It's so good, dude.
Okay, I'll let them sing. But I never had.
Keep singing for you.
I never had the album, so I know the ones that were played on the radio. I just didn't have it. I wasn't the direct target market for that. But I did have live. I did have
no, all the things you've mentioned have been good so far. I'm just saying Enema of the State is one of these
I didn't have that CD. Remember how it was?
Stone cold classics.
You had to go to Blockbuster Music or
Tower Records,
Virgin or whatever, and you had to buy a CD, and you had your allowance. So I had an allowance, so it's like one CD a week. Also, I liked books, so I was like, going between the two. I actually had a circle with my friends where we would, on the weekend, we'd go to the mall, and hopefully each of us would be able to get an R.L. Stine book. And then we'd each read our book, and then we'd swap them through our
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, there was libraries too, but like,
way more fun that way.
It was way more fun that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so we so digress.
So back to Blink-182. I mean, Queen Victoria. That's right.
Queen Victoria the First. Okay, so it was a torrential downpour that day. So fewer people turned out to like wave as she passed in the carriage because it was pouring down rain. Things had been a bit rough for Victoria the year before due to those, scandals and crises, but the royal wedding was putting all of that in the past. She was back in the good graces of her subjects. She even got a few more stalkers. Oh, gosh. Quoting from the book on the stalkers, several were committed. One devoted man stationed himself outside the gates of Kensington Palace and followed her carriage when it appeared each day. Another, Ned Hayward, sent a torrent of letters to the Home Office desperately seeking to propose to Victoria. He finally tried to stop her horse to hand her a letter himself, but was arrested. Another gentleman, believing he was the rightful king and that Victoria would be an excellent housekeeper, climbed over the gates of Windsor Castle and declared, "I demand entrance into the castle as I am the King of England." So, stalkers.
I just love that this guy had it in his head that he's just like, I really want somebody to help keep up my house. I know, the Queen of England.
The Queen would do it,
dude. Come on.
So even Charles Dickens was smitten. He said in a letter to his friend, quote, "Society is unhinged here by Her Majesty's marriage, and I am sorry to add that I have fallen hopelessly in love with the Queen."
Oh my gosh. Well, that answers our question from last time, which was Dickens alive and publishing
Yes.
during her reign? And he
was.
absolutely was.
Yes. Well, because she also had read something about Dickens and then
Right.
to Melbourne, read something by Dickens to Melbourne.
Yeah,
So,
and we
yes.
we weren't sure if it was one of those like if he was dead already.
Dead,
we were like,
yes.
was this actively being
It
published?
was
And
active.
Yes,
It was active.
Exactly.
Souvenirs were made. One interesting thing is that every time a monarch ascends or gets married or something like that, they will make little cups or tea saucers and things like that. My Aunt Mary, who is a royal family maniac, she loved Princess Diana.
Hi, Aunt Mary.
Hi, Aunt Mary. Loved Princess Diana. She has cups from every royal, starting with Queen Victoria's, I think it's Diamond Jubilee. So she
Wow.
was, I think it was like 60 years in, or either she was 60 or, but anyway, it wasn't from her wedding. She doesn't have one that far back, but if anyone knows about one somewhere, send it to us and we could buy it for Aunt Mary for her birthday or something if it's not $8,000.
Yeah.
But
What's the thing she always says, by the way, that I love?
Aunt Mary?
Yeah.
Oh, it will become clear and obvious.
Everything will become clear and obvious. Aunt Mary, I think about that phrase often. And it has helped me genuinely in my life, so thank you.
Yes, whenever something comes up and you're not sure what to do, just wait.
Just
it will
wait
become
out.
clear and
Everything
obvious.
will become clear and obvious.
Thanks, Aunt Mary. But anyway, she's actually got, and I'm going to get photos and we'll put them on the website. She's got a little display in her house of all of her royal little cups and things like
fun.
that. So anyway, there were souvenirs made, and I'm assuming that some of them may have been something like that. A little, the Queen Victoria one that she's got was 10. The other ones have been China, so I don't know why it switched to China. Maybe we can figure that out or something, or maybe they made more than one kind, and she just happens to have a 10 one. But I just like to think about that, and it's got a little portrait of Victoria on it.
That's really cool.
And she's got them all the way up to now. She's got the one for King Charles.
Is it strange to say that I find it surprising that souvenirs are that old?
I guess I kind of agree with you.
You know what I mean? Like, I guess in my weird mind, I have it of like, the 30s, 40s, 50s when like Macy's and stuff started coming around. Like, for whatever weird reason, like I just sort of assumed like, oh, that was probably the age of when a souvenir became a real thing. You go to a shop and there are souvenirs that you buy for no reason other than just to have a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just surprised to hear that it was like 1840 and on, and even probably I'm sure earlier that they were doing this with souvenirs. So it's just interesting.
Yeah. I guess I kind of agree with you. Like, it is a weird thing.
Yeah, I mean, you don't think of Victorians going into a shop and being like,
buy a
do you have
keychain.
that commemorative, Jubilee cup? Like, I want it as a knick-knack on my shelf. Like,
Yeah.
it's...
Yeah,
I just don't think of that.
It did look very much like little teacups that you would have,
sure.
and they do tea. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think of them being like, here's a magnet.
That's exactly my point. Or like a keychain,
Yeah,
or
a
like
keychain.
a little stuffed animal, a plushie or whatever.
Yeah, a
it's
little
like
plushie, the Regina plushie.
Right.
Anyway,
Which, thinking of it, I bet you they made like Victoria dolls and stuff like that.
I'm sure
and-
they did, because Victoria herself made dolls. Remember?
Yeah, there we go.
Anyway, so souvenirs were made. Police stood by pushing back the crowds. Since nobody was home and the police were occupied, burglars were taking advantage, and
Of
there were some
course.
break-ins. People were literally hanging from the trees, and branches broke due to the weight.
Oh my gosh.
Was it Regina Mania again? It sounds like it. Victoria arrived and gave her train bearers each a unique gift of a turquoise brooch in the shape of an eagle for strength.
Cool.
Albert waited at the altar in a red uniform, and people said he looked dashing. It also said that it was a tight uniform. I wonder if Victoria had that measured for him. Yeah, not tight like he gained weight, tight like they wanted to show him off.
And not like tight, man. That's tight.
Yeah, I mean, it was like tight, though.
It was tight, but it was also tight.
And an observer said that she was composed, but also that you could see her nervousness. Albert put the ring on the wrong finger, but she corrected him.
gosh.
What is it with these rings on the wrong fingers for her?
Seriously.
After the ceremony, they had 30 minutes together, and they had time for a costume change where Victoria was able to add a bonnet that she said she could hide inside because of its enormous brim.
Oh my gosh.
She was like, I don't want to talk to you. Not to Albert, but to people.
Yeah.
The wedding feast was full of cakes, Scottish whiskey, and curtsies. And after a few hours, they took the 3-hour ride to Windsor Castle alone, which Victoria was ecstatic about. She had a headache and took a rest on the couch while Albert played the piano.
Oh.
She replayed the day in her head. She had chosen to keep the word obey in the vows, even though they'd ask, would you like to take obey out because you're the queen? But she kept them in because she was committed to being a devoted wife and to Albert being a devoted husband. They were called during the ceremony, they were just called Albert and Victoria, which is important because in her marriage, she would just be able to be Victoria and not the queen.
Yeah.
She was rather a wife and, as the book says, a lover. At 10:20, they went up to bed. In her diary saying, of course, one bed. They went to one bed. And they fell asleep in each other's arms. And, the deed was done.
Oh, but there wasn't a royal watcher?
Actually, the book notes that it's very lucky for her that the tradition of the court coming to peer at the royal couple had been out of fashion with her grandfather, King George III.
Whew, okay.
And now to the good stuff. Quote the book.
Oh boy.
Historians have long acknowledged that Victoria had a high libido. Some have implied that she was some kind of sexual predator who devoured a torrent but exhausted husband. She was undoubtedly extremely passionate, as I've mentioned. In fact, the fact of which clashes with the strong associations Victoria often carries of dour old age and puritanical condemnation. Given how fraught sex was for women at the time, with limited access to contraception and abortion and no pain relief for childbirth, Victoria's unbridled and unabashed physical enjoyment of her husband is remarkable.
Wow.
At this point in the book, the author goes into a lot about the state of women's sexuality and health at the time. Honestly, some of what I read was so disturbing and shocking, I am not going to go into too many details, but let's just say that the term nymphomaniac was thrown around in regards to women.
Women in general or Victoria?
Women in general. This is women in general. Nymphomaniacs. Treatments to help women abstain from sex included using leeches. We remember those from Victoria's father before he died. And female castration.
Hey.
Women were legally stopped from becoming qualified doctors by the 1858 Medical Registration Act, so all gynecologists were male. There was so little in the way of sex education that some doctors supposed that some marriages were literally never consummated because no one told them what to do.
Jeez.
Victoria's healthy sex life with Albert was pretty uncommon, to be honest. And then, I did not know this, the book offers up a theory that Albert may have actually been gay.
Interesting.
He was notably not interested in talking with women other than Victoria and preferred the company of men. Now, I'm not sure about that. This is a rumor.
Sure.
He was I think he was allergic to infidelity and having the upbringing that he had. And in my mind, he might have just preferred to keep a distance from women.
Sure.
Like, just, I'm not going to have you here making things seem like it's something it's not.
It's also unfair of the book to be like, oh, they like to hang out with guys. Maybe they're gay.
No,
it's like, shush.
The book isn't saying, they say that people speculate this.
Gotcha.
And she had a page or two on it. And I was like, it's a rumor. And then I think it said at the end, it was like, we literally will never know this. It was kind of a rumor.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess that's good.
Victoria saw his lack of a wandering eye as a sign of love, and it gave her the security she so deeply craved.
Sure.
Over the years of their marriage, which is considered a great romance of modern history, she allowed Albert to work alongside her. For a brief period, his influence was actually more than her own. We'll talk about that as we go on.
Okay.
He was a great asset because he was brilliant. Okay, so here's a number. 80. 80 could mean a lot of things, but 80 in the context of months, or if you convert it to years, more than 6 years, that's how many months Victoria spent pregnant in her life.
Oh my gosh.
More than 6 years of her life she was pregnant.
That's a lot of months.
That was very helpful to have Albert there so that he could handle some of the work. While it didn't always go smoothly, one of the biggest fights of their marriage came because he was not always content being subordinate to her rule, but overall, when she was indisposed, it was helpful for him to be able to take on daily duties.
Oh, that's cool.
4 months after they married, Victoria experienced her first assassination attempt.
Uh-oh.
Edward Oxford was dreaming of a revolution and fired once at Victoria and Albert as they were riding in a carriage. After the first shot, Albert said, "My God, don't be alarmed." Victoria thought it was someone shooting birds in the park. But then the second shot came, and Victoria ducked, and it narrowly missed her. Albert told the driver to keep going. Onlookers grabbed Oxford. Victoria went to her mother's house, so she moved out, to tell her what had happened. They took a slow ride back to the palace to make sure that the public knew that she had not lost confidence in them. Her calm was reported in the newspapers, but when she got home, she was visibly shaken and pale. So she kept it together on the ride home to be like, okay, this guy did this thing, but you were my subjects and I'm still here. Rode back. This attempt on her life furthered the public's memory of Lady Flora Hastings, and she rode public in an open carriage to showcase bravery. It was good for the optics.
It's crazy. This reminds me of the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand that kickstarted World War I, except with just obviously a little bit happier of an ending. He died, and his wife.
Well, the police investigated to determine the motive. They found the usual stuff: gunpowder, bullets, a sword. But the unusual item was documented about a club named New England, in quotes. The club was New England.
New England.
Yes.
Soon to be called Boston.
No, that already exists.
Oh, that's true.
It was a New England. And a memo that was made to seem that Oxford had shot Victoria due to a communication from, quote, Hanover. Hanover could be Victoria's uncle, her father's brother Ernest, the King of Hanover. They were thinking that he was attempting to kill her prior to her having a child, an heir, so that he could take the throne.
Ooh.
So this was a conspiracy theory. The pistols had even been engraved with ER. Some thought meant to mean Ernestus Rex. He's the king. His name was Ernest, King of Hanover.
Huh.
But in the end, everything seems to be written by Oxford himself. It was like this guy just writing all this stuff.
No, wait, really quickly. Is Rex Latin for king?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense.
So it wasn't a plot to take over the throne. Rather, Oxford wanted to kill Victoria because she was a woman. As a great country like England should not be ruled by a woman. And get this, he was sentenced to high treason, committed to an asylum for 27 years, and then immigrated to Australia. So I'm just interested that he was caught red-handed trying to assassinate the queen, and then they committed him.
Yeah, no, I'm just laughing that, the incarcerated psychotic guy gets sent off to Australia. Or that's where he ends up. Mm-hmm. And I love you Australians. You're okay.
So this was the first of 8 assassination attempts by 7 men. One tried twice.
Whoa.
Of Victoria between 1840 and 1882.
Wow.
According to the book, Victoria is documented as being stoic and brave in the moment, but understandably shaken at home.
Sure.
And she continued to wonder why these men wanted to marry her, subdue her, or shoot her. unbeknownst to most at the time of the first assassination attempt, Victoria was 4 months pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
And apparently this was a superstition at the time. If a pregnant woman experienced a disturbing event or had disturbing thoughts, the woman could, quote, harm, deform, or derange their unborn children.
Okay.
This came from the biography of the Elephant Man, Joseph Merrick. The theory was that his mother had been trampled by an elephant while he was in the womb, which contributed to his Elephant Man syndrome.
Okay.
We now know that it's assumed he either had something called neurofibromatosis or Protus syndrome. But he was very famous in the period as a freak. They had freak shows back then. Not a term we use anymore, but that's what it was called then. And actually, apparently, as a side note, would write him handwritten notes each year.
Elizabeth would? Or, sorry, not
Victoria.
Elizabeth. Victoria. I'm getting my queens mixed again.
That's okay. I talked about the wrong queen a lot in this. So I threw you off. But yeah, so she felt enough to send him some notes over the time of his life.
And the Elephant Man, that is.
The Elephant Man.
I didn't realize that was the time period that he was in. I for some reason had it that he was in like the 20s.
He's younger than her. So I think he was born in the 1850s or 60s.
Oh,
but they did
okay.
overlap.
Interesting. That's wild.
Okay, so Victoria was less worried about her unborn child during the assassination attempt, more about her own mortality, because maternal mortality rates were quite high at the time, as you can imagine. She'd written, "Falling pregnant and having a great many children was the only thing I dread."
Wow.
Remember her cousin Charlotte, who had been an heir to the throne, died giving birth to a son.
Yeah.
And that gave way to Victoria to become queen eventually. And another cousin's wife died giving birth, a cousin on her mother's side. The Female Medical Society was starting to catch on that infections caused issue during birth. And had been advising doctors to wash their hands, especially after they'd been like the dissection. I think they called it dissection, but I think operating theater. Like,
sure.
Clean up before you go deliver a baby. But the doctors, all male, because women could not be doctors because of that law, said that the issue was not cleanliness, but rather excessive mental emotion of women who died.
Yes.
It was all in their heads.
I've also heard that for a long time, the sentiment was that doctors were insulted if you asked them to wash their hands because that implied that they were not clean people.
Yeah.
And so they would refuse for that reason. It was like this prideful thing. And that's just so dumb to me. I don't understand it.
I'm grossed out right now. Well.
And also, for anybody that's interested in the progression of medical technology and science throughout, at least a certain period of time, there was a really, really great show for a minute there. It was called The Nick, K-N-I-C-K.
I loved The Nick. It got canceled.
Was really, really fantastic. Yeah, it did get canceled, but it showed...
Clive Owens in it.
Who is a... I'm going to admit is a sexy man. He's perfection right there, quote old
perfection.
Victoria. No, but it was a really cool show, and it had a lot of really interesting just like examples of the progression of medical procedures, medical devices, understanding of the human body. It's really, really fascinating.
I really enjoyed that show. I was sad it got canceled.
I was too.
So when Victoria found herself pregnant just weeks into marriage, she was saddened, as she had hoped she would have 6 months or so to be with Albert alone and not pregnant. But she didn't let pregnancy stop her. She danced at a ball while she was super pregnant, despite the scoffs of onlookers. She stood at parties and went out in bad weather. She refused to sit down at parties.
Wow.
She had a male midwife, which is called an accoucheur.
Okay.
And he didn't like her because she would discuss her body with him. How dare she?
How dare she talk to her physician?
And then apparently he would go on and tell other people, like women in the court.
So apparently this was before the Hippocratic Oath.
Yeah. So he told her in Hippa, he told others about her. And I quote, here's a quote he said. "She will be very ugly and enormously fat. She goes without stays or anything that keeps her in her shape within bounds. She is more like a barrel than anything else."
What a shithead.
Everyone is just body shaming Victoria the most.
Dude, yeah, these doctors can go to hell, man.
Ugh. A fun note. Luckily, pregnant women were no longer expected to wear corsets, as they had been. but they still labored in gowns and petticoats. And a petticoat is like a big fluffy hoop underneath your dress. You're like laboring in this like enormous dress.
Oh my gosh.
During the months after their marriage and Victoria's pregnancy, Albert kept the Queen happy. He also raised the talk in the courts from just gossip to arts and sciences and botany and stuff. So he was trying to elevate the conversation. He was less happy himself, though. He missed his family terribly, bored by conversation, and preferred to play chess with himself.
This is amazing to hear, because it feels like as you're saying this, you're almost describing some of the most, for lack of a better term, stereotypical kind of cornerstones of the Victorian era, right? The rise in arts, the rise in interest in botany. I think a lot of
he influenced a bit of that,
and that's
seems.
exactly what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking of the British obsession with like taking exotic plants from other areas and then putting them into those lovely, amazing little terrariums, you know?
Yeah, like...
and that's they're very Victorian looking things. And so I can only imagine that Albert was a huge part of making that a presence of the time.
And I'll, as we learn more, we'll probably find that. But yes,
Cool.
it was, he was definitely, a lot of the people, it was very like stereotypical what you'd see in a TV show. They were just gossiping about Lady Flora Hastings could be pregnant. Ooh, you know, whatever.
Sure.
So he tried. But again, he missed his family. He didn't really love concerts and dinners, and sometimes he would just like nod off, which it said also that he would nod off as a child at the dinner table. So maybe he's just a sleepy guy. Maybe he had a little touch of what is it when you fall asleep? Narcolepsy. He wanted to invite scientists and artists to court, but Victoria was apprehensive because she had doubts about her own schooling, and then she thought she would be uneducated.
Oh.
I mean, it just, I keep saying like she's a little bit, you know, self-conscious and like just...
It's also fair because she's living in this world where seemingly everybody is constantly telling her like, hey, everything that you've worked for we're going to invalidate slightly because you're a woman. So, hey, you know, all of the stuff you're going through, well, it's because you're a woman. All the things you've learned, you're not as smart because you're a woman. It's just like... There's
only so much of that you can take before it starts to feel
to get
real.
into your brain,
Yeah. So Albert didn't like to have conversation after dinner, which Victoria loved because she would get his full attention. Because, you know, they'd have dinner and then they go to the drawing room or whatever.
Sure. The parlor.
People speculate it was actually because he was just bored. He was also depressed, and Victoria wanted to make him happy. He also wanted to become an effective king. He was not the king, by the way.
King Regent.
Yes, King Regent something, but he was, I think he always stayed Prince Albert.
Interesting. Okay.
He was never the king. But he wanted to become effective king and fast, which contributed to his bouts of depression because he was like, I want this, and then it's not happening. And so like, you know, it's a cycle.
Yeah.
Finally, he wasn't happy with just being the husband. He wanted to be the master of the house, which, you know, just kind of making sure the house is running properly, which she did kind of say, yeah, you can do that. The real issue, though, the underlying problem, Albert himself didn't really think that women were meant to rule.
Oh.
It wasn't, I feel like I'm justifying this because at the time, it wasn't like a malicious thing. It was like, this is what everyone thought.
Right.
So we've all progressed, but he thought that, but he really thought they weren't meant to rule by themselves. So this is part of the reason he wanted to marry her. He wanted to make sure that like things are going well. Like he wanted to fill the gaps where Victoria was lacking in experience or fundamental ability. And then I say like due to her gender.
Yeah.
Even 10 years into their marriage, Albert, so we're jumping forward for a minute, Albert, Baron Stockmar, and the Duke of Wellington like all agreed on this. And this is a quote from Albert to the Duke of Wellington. He said that he should continually and anxiously watch every part of the public business in order to be able to advise and assist her in any moment in any of the multifarious and difficult questions brought before her, political, social, or personal. So like what he was trying to do is like when stuff comes up, she needs someone to run it by. Some of the things, it's stuff that she wouldn't know about. I didn't get into this. I'm going to get into the next episode, but there's this issue with the Ottoman Empire that's going on. Like everything she's doing, she is learning.
Right.
And I think that there was some sense of she'll never be able to understand it. But there is a sense of this is all new. Let's put our heads together. And he did love her. He really did care about her and love her. But he also really wanted to get in there and use this position to affect some things. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'm not totally sure how I feel about Albert at this point in time because it seems like he's trying to undermine her, but also that he's not. It's complicated. He believed he should be her second, her primary advisor in all things. At the time, a tiny number of women had more money and power than their husbands. Very, very tiny. To quote from the book, most women were chattels without rights to their bodies, money, property, or children. So a lot of people just agreed with him. Like, he needed to be ruling alongside her equally or even above.
Right.
So the power struggle continues. Again, they were happy in their marriage and they talked about, like, we love each other so much, we're happy. And that compartmentalization I talked about before, it still was in place. But as their love grew, it did seem to take a toll on Victoria because her self-confidence continued to dwindle. The men around her were in support of Albert getting more power. Victoria continued to see ministers alone, though, despite Albert's direct request to be included. He was not allowed to see state papers. And the person who agreed with her, despite everyone else telling her to submit to Albert's request, was Lazen. She was like, you do you, girl. Lazen had been promoted since Victoria became queen, and she was managing her diary, finances, and invoices. Albert thought Lazen had gotten a little too much power, and he decided he would dismiss her. Not yet. He was smart, and he knew that he needed to bide his time and not push too hard lest he push Victoria away completely. So all this is happening while Victoria's pregnant.
Wow.
Her first child was born November 21st, 1840. They got married February 10th, so it was like, boom.
Quick turnaround.
Albert was there during the birth, which was not common at the time. Lord Melbourne and other important men were in the next room, listening and waiting. Kind of weird. The child was a healthy baby girl, but Victoria and Albert were, of course, disappointed that she was not a boy. Sure. They said, "Oh, madam, it's a princess." And Victoria replied, "Never mind, the next one will be a prince."
Oh my gosh.
After the birth, Albert stood in for Victoria at the Privy Council, and he was happy to become a father and the Queen's proxy in just a day.
Jeez.
The baby was christened Victoria Adelaide Mary Louisa at 3 months and had been called the Child prior to that. The Child. They called her Vicky, and her nickname was Pussy. I mean, it's like, oh, my little pussycat. Like, it's not gross, but it does.
No, it was your delivery is what made me laugh so hard.
I had to say it that way. Now, there's a widely held belief that Victoria was not very maternal. I had read this, and the author confirmed that it's considered true in most biographies and by most historians that Victoria said that infants were frog-like and she didn't find them endearing. So people were like, so she hated children.
I heard that. I gotta be honest with you.
Then it did say something, and I don't remember the exact term, but they said that when babies are like 3 weeks old or less, they do kind of just like splay out like little frogs on the dissection table. And they said like her assessment is actually like a pretty spot on metaphor for what babies look like.
Hey, I'm not a dad, and I've heard many dads and moms and everything say how amazing it all is or whatever, but like I've seen plenty of fresh babies. Every single one I see, I'm like, gee.
Yeah,
you can hang on to that thing. I'm good.
It's a little scary. So Victoria just called it out, basically. A lot of her writings about pregnancy and childbirth talk about the negative aspects, and it's speculated that she experienced ongoing problems like uterine prolapse and,
oh my gosh,
and other painful things.
Oof.
But the author also points out that her journals at the time show tenderness and optimism for her child that has been incorrectly forgotten in favor of the narrative that she just disliked children.
Gotcha.
So she was having a lot of feelings, as one does, and she was writing them down, and it seems like people have cherry-picked things to be like, Victoria hated children.
I also think it's interesting that if you take somebody's diary as gospel, right? It's just like, that's not fair, because half of what you do in a diary or in a journal is you're just kind of venting stuff.
Yeah, you dump out the stuff that's like, you're not going to say it to anybody. You just get it out.
So it's like, if she's just being this like good mother, but then holding in her anxiety and anger and whatever else, and then just vents it out at night, and then historians read it and go, oh, she hated kids and was a bad mother. It's like, well, that's probably not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair at all. I mean, and to contradict that, in fact, a few weeks after Vicky's birth, Victoria wrote, "It seems like a dream having a child, and she's such a darling." Finally, on Christmas Day of 1840, she wrote, "This day last year, I was an unmarried girl, and this year I have an angelic husband and a dear little girl 5 weeks old."
Oh, see, there we go.
Yeah. Albert doted on the Queen and his daughter while Victoria regained her strength. Albert would dance with her, and both Albert and Victoria fretted over Vicky and were in awe of her development as she grew. So like, and I think I read another thing that I didn't put in here, but it was like, she became a sweet little pet for us, like not in a bad way. Right. She's running around and she's being so cute, and we love her.
And it's like, but it's also too like an old term of endearment. It's like, oh, you little pet.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes,
It's not
yes.
like,
it wasn't like, oh, she's a pet and we're going to put her in the backyard when we don't feel like playing with her.
Not like when Mabel adopted that one girl.
Yes.
And then was like, whoopsies, bye.
Never mind. No. They loved their daughter. They loved her so much. Albert commissioned a portrait to be painted of him holding Vicky.
Oh.
And he's gazing at her in the portrait to give to Victoria. Albert and Victoria were both happy with their new family, and Albert wrote to his brother, "Wedded life is the only thing that can make up for the lost relationships of our youth," referencing his mother and father's rough marriage. So he was really like, this is what I wanted growing up, and now I have it now, and this is good. Uncle Leopold received a letter from Victoria months after the birth of Pussy. I just had to say it again. And he had suggested that they go ahead and continue to grow the family. Mm-hmm. Victoria's reply says it all. "I think, dearest uncle, you cannot really wish me to be," and she says it in French, "the maman d'une nombreuse famille," which just means mom of a large family. For I think you will see with me the great inconvenience a large family would be to us all, and particularly to the country. Independent of the hardship and inconvenience to myself, men never think, at least seldom think, what a hard task it is for us women to go through this very often. She's like, I just don't want to do this again.
Right.
Famous last words. Victoria was pregnant again, only 3 months after giving birth. Wow. She refused to breastfeed.
Oh, okay.
So she didn't have any birth control.
But she had a wet nurse.
Yeah, she must have had a wet nurse. She did not breastfeed. At the time, women, for birth control, they would try inserting oils, like olive oil or sponges to prevent the seed from implanting.
Well, that was a thing for a long time. The day sponge?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. They were also advised to have sex around the time of ovulation to prevent pregnancy, which now we know is the opposite of what
I was
you
like,
should
hang on,
do.
that doesn't sound right.
Yes. Also, again, disclaimer, we are not medical professionals. Anything we say on this podcast should not be taken as medical advice. But yeah, I mean, there was like just some crazy stuff happening back then that, anyway, so Victoria was pregnant once again. All of this pregnancy boded well for Albert. He was receiving daily correspondence, and Victoria let him. She didn't even sit in on him reading these letters for a while. He was the head of the house and effectively the monarch for a time.
Wow.
He had plans. But there are two things in his way. Well, two people. Laizen and Lord Melbourne. And we'll see what becomes of them in the next episode.
Oh, okay. We're getting into some political intrigue here.
All kinds of intrigue, and yeah.
Yeah.
So
you got to get this guy out of here, get this guy in here, and make my plans go forward. But so far, I at least seems like Albert's a cool dude.
I think again, you got to consider the times, whether or not it was right. It's one thing. It's what was happening at the time. Also, she's 21 years old. She is learning a lot of stuff. I watched I'm not completely up to date on The Crown, but I do remember watching when Queen Elizabeth in The Crown was like ascending and then starting to have her daily visits with the prime minister and stuff. And the things that like you could tell she wasn't exactly sure about it. And so then she would research it and consider it and everything. It's a learning curve. Like,
totally.
I don't think it's necessarily, if I were her, I wouldn't be like, I'm just doing it all myself and getting no advice from anybody. That would be a bad move too. The thing that's a little bad is that all these guys are like, well, we can do it better. So just let us do it. No, let's work together in a supportive manner. And I think that's what Albert was really trying to do. Melbourne has really done a number on Victoria because she's like, wigs are the way. And I think Albert's having to kind of change some stuff that's been implanted in her as the gospel.
Sure.
And so I think it's, I don't know. I'm interested to see what comes next.
As am I. By the way, I didn't say it earlier because I didn't want to keep derailing us again and again and again. But when she's getting married and Albert is in his tight clothing,
his tight red suit.
I know. I'm not sure if you've seen it yet. It's been kind of like strangely, I think, blowing up on TikTok. But there's this clip of Will Ferrell on The Tonight Show from like 2016. I'll send you the clip, and he's dressed as like a, for lack of a better description, think of like a 1965 pop singer, okay? Like bowl cut, like white pants. He's got this kind of like stripy long sleeve shirt on with a turtleneck, like very 60s looking.
Okay.
And the Roots are playing this little jingle song. It's pretty dang catchy, to be honest. And the whole song is about my tight pants. And so Will Ferrell's like, everybody's talking about my tight pants. I got my tight pants on. And he's like doing this whole little jig and song and dance routine or whatever. And so as soon as you're like, oh yeah, for the wedding, Albert's wearing the tight pants, I immediately in my head was seeing Will Ferrell dance his way up like Westminster Abbey, like everybody's talking about my tight pants. I gotta send you this clip. It's really funny.
Tight pants. Yeah, maybe we should just have a silly page on the website, the page of sillies.
Now, we're going to go to another quick section before we fully close out here, because as you and I have been saying over the past, so what are we, 7? Is this episode?
Well, this is
gonna be like episode
4.
Well, of the series. So this will be episode 9 of our whole podcast so far. But since the beginning, we've been asking questions along the way about just anything. Like, oh, this thing popped up, and here's a question about that, and then we have not touched them again.
Yeah,
we haven't come
forgot.
back to them.
Our intern has been failing.
And so we are just now starting to get to the point where we're able to, or at least we're making a point to answer some of those questions that we asked. And hopefully we can get some more knowledge here. So, at least as of now, going through episodes 1, 2, and 3 of this series, these are just at least the questions that I initially was able to identify. So the first one, it was from Queen Victoria episode 1. We were talking about royal taste testers and them being poisoned and things like that. And we initially said that maybe it's like one of the worst jobs in history because you're constantly living under this looming fear of death. Everything you're eating, you could be dead at any moment. So we were kind of curious on if there's statistics involving royal taste testers actually dying from poison. So I couldn't find any specific statistics, which leads me to believe rare. Very rare that a royal taste tester ever did die in history, or if it did happen, it was not recorded.
Yeah, I mean, I might sweep that under the rug.
Right, and just be like, whoops-a-daisies, that's the end of it. However, there are definitely very, very famous instances of royal taste testers dying as a result of somebody trying to assassinate them. One in particular was actually Henry VIII. And Henry VIII only narrowly missed dying because the person that tried to kill Henry VIII poisoned a gigantic vat of gravy. Beef gravy, okay? And luckily for Henry that night, they were also serving roast chicken, which was his favorite meal. And as a result, his taste tester helped himself to plenty of beef and beef gravy and died as a result. But Henry VIII ate chicken and did not die.
They should have poisoned the chicken.
Should have poisoned the chicken. So thought that was a pretty interesting little tidbit there. From episode 2 of Queen Victoria, again, there was just a little bit we were trying to figure out the full line of royal succession prior to Queen Victoria. So I just said, screw it, I'm going to write down the list in case anybody is curious. Here's the actual lineage of how this worked. So it was George III, Mad King George. He was or I guess it was coronated, or whatever you want to call it, in 1760, and he lasted all the way until 1820. That was his reign, so a nice 60-year reign. And then from there, it was George IV. He was from 1820 to 1830. And then it went to William IV. He was from 1830 to 1837. And then that brought us up to Victoria, whose reign was from 37 to 1901. And we're going to go through all of that as we continue here. And the very last one, it was again from, it was episode 3, actually, not episode 2. And we were talking about, when we initially were talking about the term freak show.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not
Came
exactly
up again today.
PC term anymore. And, apologies, we're not trying to call anybody that. But I was saying that the band The Ramones, in their song, it's called Pinhead. They do the gobble, gobble, we accept you, one of us. And I was mentioning that it was from a movie. And the movie was actually called Freaks. Just straight up. And it was from 1932, actually. So very old movie, very black and white. If you are interested in old movies like that, definitely check it out. It's only about 45 minutes to an hour long, so it's not like a full feature-length movie, but very, very influential. And I think this episode is going to be released, I think, getting close to October, if not in October. So for anybody that's listening to this, you might be behooved to check out the movie Freaks from 1932. It's awesome. It's not exactly what you think it's going to be, and it was very influential on a lot of people, including people like Joey Ramone from the Ramones. There's a whole scene in which the group of circus performers, they all sit around a table and they chant, gobble, gobble, we accept you, one of us. Because they're like, they marry into this other person. Anyways, check it out. It's
I feel like I've heard that in the past, but I've never seen that movie.
It's dark for sure, but really good. For any film nerds out there, it's a really good one to watch.
Add it to the list.
Oh, well, anything else?
No, not for today.
All right. Well, I guess then, as always, we'll say thanks for listening. If there's any comments or feedback or corrections, as we always like to say, shoot us an email at thebiographerspodcast@gmail.com. You can check us out we're on TikTok officially.
Woohoo!
We're on the gram. Very soon we're going to be on Patreon. If not, by the time that y'all hear me say we're going to be on Patreon right now, just go check out Patreon. Maybe we're there. I'm hoping that we will be. And if anybody feels just exorbitantly generous and feels like contributing to our little cause here, this is truly a 2-person operation, with the credit of Brother Bill, who is helping you edit and learn some things about that.
And wife Kat, who was helping up with our branding in the very beginning. She got us started on all that stuff.
Some images and some artwork and everything like that. But truly beyond that, this is a 2-person operation. It is Aubrey and I.
Your mother-in-law, who's the voice of the intro.
I promised her I would never tell anybody.
Oops, I'm so sorry.
I might have to cut this out. She'll probably never listen to this episode. But I don't know, she might. Queen Victoria, she's from Wales, so she might listen. I might have to cut this out. But either way, for anybody that is, again, feeling exorbitantly generous and feels like contributing a couple bucks to our efforts here, as of now, we are receiving $0 from everything that we are doing with this podcast.
We're bootstrapped right now.
All bootstrapped and all independent. So
I was thinking about stickers, actually. I was looking at something about stickers. We could have one that says perfection.
So Kat, actually, her little Cricut machine, she can make stickers, and she was wanting to make me stickers like a few weeks back, and I said, well, let's pause because I don't know what I would do with them.
We'll have a marketing meeting about that.
We'll do that, and then I also really want to get like little business cards because I can't stop talking about the podcast, and I want to hand out cards to people and say you should listen.
Yeah, we can put flyers in coffee shops.
Oh, we can. We can go back to the 1990s.
Hey, you know what? We like the 1990s. We hail from there.
We do. I miss the 90s.
I do too. I just saw Jagged Little Pill the musical. Like, come on.
It was like years ago. I posted something on Instagram about how I love the 90s, and of course, I got like all these responses about people like, well, of course, it was all covered up racism and blah blah blah. And I was just like, guys, it's like, no, I'm not trying to.
Oh, it's the movies.
I was a child. I just liked the movies and the sense of like
the autonomy,
carefreeness, and it was just a nice fun time. I'm not trying to get political on anybody here. So,
and like before having to be an adult and like
right, it was just a nice time to be a kid, man. 90s were a good time. But anyways, we digress again. Thank you everyone for listening. Join us for our next episode of Queen Victoria. That'll be 2 weeks from now. If it's not already out, if you're listening to this in retrospect, then it doesn't even matter.
Time is a construct. All right, guys. Well, I'm Aubrey McCarthy.
I'm Daniel Newman. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to The Biographers. For more information, please visit thebiographerspodcast.com.